Blog Talk Radio.
Eckhart, you talk about in an ever-changing world, a species needs to either adapt or they will die out. And then you go on to say, and I quote, that humanity is now faced with a stark choice: evolve or die.
There's so much to say in so little time. This is a song for those left behind, an insider's view to what's going on as Christians are raptured away and are gone. In case of emergency, take this CD and make many copies to give away free. But first get a Bible and start reading now. The moment will come when they will not allow distribution, possession of anything Christian. You'll go underground, a secret resistance, and face persecution, imprisoned and beaten. Now is the time to make your decision, to battle his minions left on this earth, or fall for a false explanation. Prefer to be herded like sheep. The ancient delusion, the oldest of schemes, has come to conclusion. The mark of the beast from the father of lies, the angel of light, master of disguise. He's devising a plan, preparing us now and through evolution, convincing the crowd that aliens somehow are out there and bound to have all of the answers and power to know the solution. Like indigo children, smarter than humans, more intuition, much more evolved. They're sending a vision, prepare the whole world with a false explanation. If we're to evolve, we must remove Christians. They call it the cleansing, and this is their mission.
Evolve or die refers to whether humanity survives as a species. There is an enormous awakening happening on the planet.
The age of Aquarius, ending duality, Oprah the secret, and Eckhart Tolle preach what will bring in a new age reality based in traditions of pagan theosophy, bound to be thousands of offshoots of Crowley, students of Alistair Bailey who follow the lies of Helena Blavatsky, radically altering, changing the pages of history, laying the groundwork forged by the tools of Lucifer, paving the way for the United Nations, a slow preparation, patiently waiting since the creation. The Garden of Eden, a planet whose placement in time is persuaded by aliens, outside invasions, abductions, and cow mutilations, creating an atmosphere ripe for the picking with movies and Hollywood implanting trickery, mastery over the masses. The whole world collapses in panic, all desperate for someone to save them. Away anyone that will answer their questions. The savior of sorts, a new age messiah. The wolf in sheep's clothing is what will transpire. The mayhem is out of control at this moment. A world full of chaos, confusion, and torment. I'm telling you, don't stop at anything. You can't afford to face life without Christ as your king. The moment might come when the storms are reality, trapped in a world where it's actually happening.
That's one of my favorite quotes that a significant portion of the Earth's population will soon recognize, if they haven't already done so, that humanity is now faced with a stark choice: evolve or die.
Reaching your head with the cold and sudden fury of a divine messenger, let me tell you about heartache and the loss of God, wandering in hopeless night. The seeker of lost paradise may seem a fool to one who has never sought the other worlds. Welcome, readers, listeners, and viewers from across America and around the world. I'm your host, Zen Garcia. This is FallenAngels.tv, and I'm excited to be broadcasting tonight. I was not able to come on this past Saturday. Blog Talk, the whole site was down for the duration of the day, so I wasn't able to get on, but I wanted to present this information to you for quite a long time, and I appreciate everybody joining me, and thanks for coming to the show and for supporting our work. We've got a lot of new listeners and a lot of individuals that are not used to the show's format, and I do appreciate the fellowship and the interest, and for being willing to open yourselves up to the interesting perspectives that we bring forward on this show and the interesting books that we read from. I'm going to be following up on an ongoing series from a book that I've recently been reading and discovering. I'm some 400 pages into it now, and it's mind-blowing, the particular text that I've been reading. And what I'm going to be covering today talks about the destruction of Atlantis. And this is going to give you incredible insight, more insight than anywhere else that I've found other than the Emerald Tablets of Thoth or Hermes, which for many individuals, they're just one's from Greek, the other's from Egypt. Same individuals, same text. So, also wanted to tell everybody that I was just on John the Baptist show at tribulation-now.org, and he's still going for another 30 minutes. But our brother John has had us on for the past few nights talking about the imminent dangers of not only the alien invasion, but the return of the fallen angels, the loose of the four angels from the river Euphrates, and also the release of what is being described in the Cave of Treasures as those tribes that were held in by the sides of the north, which we know as the giant tribes, or those hybrid beings that were the demigods of old. And so the story, just to tie it all together, the text that I'm going to be going into, we're going to be going back prior to the creation of modern day Adam and Eve. This is the time when the fallen angels as Elohim were ruling on the earth. They have since forgot their first estate and establishing 5 different colonies, 5 different civilizations, 4 for different tribes and peoples of humanity. And again, these are not whom we know as modern human beings. These are those primitive worker tribes whom we know as Neanderthal, Cro-Magnon, kind of ape-man kind of is what we're talking about here. Because the Lord made Adam and Eve a whole new creature, and that would serve as a condemnation against the fallen watchers for what they did and how they had fallen. And it would also give us as spiritual beings a chance to incarnate into the flesh and prove our worth and prove our loyalties and our allegiances while in the flesh, and our worth as to where we should serve in the Morning Star administration, or whether we should serve in the administration at all, because not everybody's going to make it as far as being part of those that will return to their first state. Their immortal bright nature is part of the elect that serve the other generations of humanity. All right, so this story, again, comes from a book called Oahspe. And I'm going to get into it. From what I have here, this is the end of the first book of the Lords. Starting with verse 15, it says this: "And as oft as they are raised up in light, so are they again cast down in darkness, because of the great desire of the spirits of the dead to return back to the earth. These Druks return to mortals and fasten upon them as fetiles or familiars, and inspire them to evil. Go now to the earth, O my beloved, and find the division of the earth where most of these Druks congregate." And just so you know, the Druks are the fallen, wicked, evil spirits of the atmosphere, those that are part of the gaseous plane. They're not the Etherians. The Etherians are the light beings. These are those that work on pretty much the prince of the powers of the air, is who these Druks are. "For I will uproot their stronghold. I will break them from their haunts, and they shall no longer carry my people down to destruction." And now the council deliberated, and after a while caused the records of the earth and her atmosphere to be examined. And they discovered that the heaven of the land of Whaga Now, Whaga is the name of the continent that was the original colony, or what is called also Pan. And so that's what it's going to be given reference to in here. Was beyond redemption because of the great numbers of the spirits of the cannibals and of the multitude of the fetols. The fetols are those succubuses, incubus spirits that feed on the energies of humanity. It was as if a disease in the flesh be healed over externally, leaving the root of the disease within. So was Whaga and her heaven. The redemption of the cycles remained not with her, but evil broke out forever and in a new way. And so Jehovah said, now will I prune the earth and her heaven. Behold, the division of Whaga shall be hewn off and cast beneath the waters of the ocean. Her heaven shall be no longer tenable by the spirits of destruction, for I will rend the foundation thereof and scatter them in the winds of heaven. Go ye therefore down to the earth and provide nets and vanchas for receiving the spirits of darkness, and for receiving the spirits of mortals who shall perish in the waters, and provide ye a place in my exalted heavens suitable for them. And ye shall wall them about in heaven, that they cannot escape, but that they may be weaned from evil. And when ye are come to the earth and its heaven, acquaint my God and his lords with my decree, and say to them, thus saith Jehovah, behold, I will sink the land of Whaga beneath the waters of the ocean, and her heaven will I carry away to a place in my firmament, where she shall no longer engulf my people in darkness. And Jehovah saith, go thou, O God of heaven, and thou, O Lord of Whaga, down to my chosen, the Ihins, and say to them, thus saith the Great Spirit, behold, I will sink the lands of the earth beneath the ocean, because of the evil of the spirits of darkness. Hear me, O my chosen, and heed my commandments. Fall to all hands and build ships in all places, even in the valleys and on the mountains. And let my faithful gather together within the ships, for my hand is surely over the earth. Now I want to emphasize something here, because even though this sounds to be a story of what could have been Noah's flood, as in the days of Noah, and this is prior to that time, and I will get to that story at some point. But this is the destruction of Atlantis, that was the original colony, that was the first civilization, that is talked about in the Sumerian text as being those 5 cities. Eridu. The next one was over there in Lebanon, Baalbek. Then they had the Abzu in South Africa, where Enki had to set up to get all the gold. Also, I want to answer one other question here as well, because this person keeps asking me about why the Anunnaki and the elites are interested in gold. And according to the Sumerian text, their interest in the gold prior to the destruction and to their having to leave this particular planet in flesh form, it is because hold on one second. It's because they had become wholly evil, and the Lord had to eradicate these particular beings from off of the earth. And that's the whole reason for even the flood of Noah's day. But these particular beings, and even in the Emerald Tablets, which I've read from, it talks about how they opened up stargates, how they created huge crystal structures which were powering massive technologies that we cannot yet understand. And with these massive crystals and these massive technologies, they utilized and opened stargates and portals that they could not then close. And when that happened, onto the face of the planet and on out of this other interdimensional space, these beings that are called the Druks, the Fetals, they came upon the planet. And for those that have read the Book of Jubilees, or I think it's in Jasher, one of those two, there's a prayer by Noah, even after the flood of his day, where he asked the Lord to eradicate some of the evil spirits of the world so that his children could have a chance in goodness and righteousness upon this planet. And you know how the Lord repeats in patterns and cycles. Well, to me and in my mind, that's just like another one of those things as in the days of Noah. Because this is also as in the days of Atlantis. All right, continuing. I will sink the lands of the earth beneath the ocean because of the evil of the spirits of darkness. And the wide plains of Og with 1,000 cities, and with the great capital of Pinj, and the temples of Ku and Bart and Gan and Sang, shall sink to rise no more, and in the deluge the air of heaven shall be filled with the screaming and wailing of millions of mortals going down to destruction. In the work of James Churchward, who is one of those that has advanced the study of Mu and the original colony, the first kingdom, and has brought incredible, in-depth, profoundly deep insight into the histories and mythologies of the various cultures of the world. And if you read his books, which they're available, one of them is called The Lost Continent of Mu, the other one's Children of Mu, Symbols of Mu. I would just type in James Churchward and to find all of his books. They're all incredible if you want to know the story of the old story of the original colony, the original kingdom. Because another thing that this particular tale here that I'm reading from verifies as far as what James Churchward brought forth is he said that after the destruction of Atlantis, or what he calls Mu, what I've learned to call Muror, Muror, which is the old ancient name for the original island of the empire that encompassed Atlantis. That this particular Muror, that there's old legends and tales about it as being the original kingdom, the establishment of the Elohim government initially here upon this planet, before it got corrupted, before the Elohim spirits got trapped in the flesh and started to follow the path of darkness and the path of self-indulgence. Because when they did that, then they were judged. And after they were judged, they also became evil spirits upon this planet. All right, so continuing on. Hear my judgment upon them, O ye my holy angels, and long risen. For I have raised them up again and again. I have founded lower heavens for them, that they might learn, but they fall the moment my God leave them alone. Now will I carry away their heaven and earth, and they shall be seen no more forever. But the Druks and the Fetals shall be carried to Hatan, and cast into walls of fire. They shall be divided up into groups. Kin shall be torn away from kin, and friend to friend, mother from daughter, and father from son. for they are become as absorbent, sucking one another continually. And the walls of fire shall go up around them without ceasing, and they shall not escape. And they that guard them shall keep them from one another, that they do no evil. Neither shall they sleep nor rest, but be stirred up and made to know that they are alive and can exist independent of Fatal. Hear my voice, O God, and command thy Lord to proclaim the earth. Have I not made an example before mortals? Behold the carrion that rotteth in the field. Is it not the feast of the hyena, the wolf, and the buzzard? Do not worms come to life therein, and turn to and devour the carcass that brought them forth? What more is the earth, Pan, to these spirits of evil and darkness? What more is their first heaven than a place of perpetual devouring? Have they not made it a place of everlasting destruction? They visit their evils upon mortals. The young child cannot escape them, nor the middle-aged, nor the old man, nor old woman. The heavenly kingdoms founded by gods and lords have become pest houses for Druhas and Fatals, and there is no place left for founding the upright and virtuous in heart. Shall man of earth say, the Creator was angry, and so sent the land beneath the ocean. He hath not wisdom to comprehend that this day I cast out hell and destruction. The Druge is his love, and as vampires they feed on each other to the ruin of both. Now I'm going to explain something there, because this gives profound insight into something that is also propounded upon in the Emerald Tablets. And that being that these particular beings, these fallen angels, Elohim spirits that got trapped up in the flesh, that after the destruction of Atlantis, and even after the destruction of the flood of Noah's day, became disembodied spirits that needed flesh vehicle to possess in order to hold form. They needed physical flesh to possess in order to hold form. That is also the story of the Legion being asked to be cast into the swine. Now, if you understand that there are interdimensional beings that work on a vibratory level that is between that of physical solid, or the solid material states of being, and that of light, which is the Etherean state of being, light being the highest vibration, highest movement, the fastest movement of light. But in the middle area there, the gas state of being, or what is called atmosphere, there you have the powers of the principalities, the spirits of the air. They work on that level. You can feel them, you can sense them, but you can't necessarily see them. They work on that level that is right below the veil of the eyes and recognition with the visible. And so that's what we're talking about. That's also where the ghosts and the vampires and all of that, they work on that level. So those are the spirits that we're talking about, the spirits of atmosphere. So I made fast, and my messengers hastened to the concentrating forces of heaven, informing the Etherean groups on Jehovah's ships of his commandments. This is interesting because this talks about how certain Merkaba, or celestial ships of the Lord, were utilized in destroying the continent of Atlantis. It's a really interesting story. Pay close attention here. And now came Neph. His ship rose up, filled with his long laboring host. And I greeted him and said unto him, by the power and wisdom of Jehovah, The continent of Whaga is to be cut loose and submerged, and her heavens carried away. Return thou to the earth and bring all the spirits of darkness from all the divisions of the earth and heaven to Whaga, that I may carry them away. Then Neph and his host viewed the imposing scene and returned back to the earth. And I divided the line into sections, each with 250 ships, and there were 1,000 sections, and every ship was contracted 10,000-fold, which was the force required to break the crust of the earth and sink a continent. I'm going to read that sentence one more time. Listen to the amount of ships it says. Now, I'm not saying this text is inspired in any way. I'm not saying this is the Word of God. I'm not saying this is how the story unfolded. All I'm saying is that this is what this story says, and this is how it unfolds here, which is interesting, given it was written in 1880. And I divided the line into sections, each with 250 ships, and there were 1,000 sections. So 1,000 times 250, 250,000. And it says that, and every ship was contracted 10,000-fold, which was the force required to break the crust of the earth and sink a continent. All right, let's continue. And of course, we know that the Lord doesn't need anything to do anything. He can do all by just the thought of his will. And the star of Piazzi's Etherean ship was stationed near the earth, that she might the better behold the deliverance of the spirits that were to be freed by the submersion of the land of Whaga. And these spirits, there were upward of 24,400,000,000, of whom more than 3 billion were fetiles, familiars, and spirits in chaos. From chapter 4. Jehovah said, my son, put a wall of pillars of fire around about the land of Whaga. Plant them near as a hedge is planted. For the false gods and false goddesses of Hada, when perceiving their habitation going down into the water, will endeavor to escape to Jud and Bohu and other countries. I want to make one further comment here before I continue on with the story. Then I'm going to peek in the chat room. If you have any questions, ask them in the chat room. I'll be glad to get to them and glad to answer them. Whaga is, Papa Bear is asking, where is the land of the Whaga? And basically, Whaga is the original landmass that was called Pan, the original continent, before its breakup and destruction. So the Lord destroying this continent and destroying this particular continent also is what created the shifting in the crustal plates and the movements of the mountains. And so, also, I wanted to tell you that it also gives reference to how the Elohim, those spirits that are still holy, that are still serving Jehovah, how they are told to go down and to gather up the spirits of these particular beings, the Druks and the fetiles, the incubuses and succubuses, and to bring them back to Atlantis, because he was going to destroy them all together. And so many of the spirits of darkness were all brought back to Atlantis. And what is another thing that is of interest to me is that when the Lord initially divided the earth into these 5 kingdoms, one of them was specifically only for Elohim, meaning there were no primitive workers, no humanity, no early humanity there. It was only the angels in their various embodiments that were there. Okay, the name of the book again is Oahspe. And if you just type that into the Google search, you will find at sacredtext.com. Matter of fact, I'll get the link for you. And you can read along with me, and you can also read the text for yourself. All right. For those that are in the chat room, I'm posting the link here. This is where you can go for the text, the individual chapters. And Marilyn also says that if you just type James Churchward into the Google, you'll find all of his books on Mu and the original colony. Jazz says thank you. You are all welcome. What's up, Michael? God bless you, brother, for all the work you do. What a kind brother you are. All right, continuing on. And again, if you have any questions, put it in the chat room and I'll get to it. All right. Now, all these spirits are going to be rounded up for what is going to be the destruction of this particular land. But thou shalt not suffer one to escape, for they have migrated to this division of the earth because of its sumptuous productions, the better to feast their evil desires. And thou shalt spread a net around the borders of Whaga, against the line of the ocean and to the high north mountains, and the net shall encompass the continent of Whaga, and it shall be to the height of 1,000 miles, and in breadth, so that no spirit of darkness can escape and find the way abroad. I got to make one other comment here before I forget this, because this is another story that I'm going to be bringing forth to y'all very soon. It's from a book called M.U. Revealed. M.U. Revealed. And basically what it is, it's an old text that was discovered in Mexico that gives a description of this one kid who's in college. He's a child of this royalty, this priesthood, and he's undergoing temple training to be a priest in the Atlantean school of knowledge. And in these texts, they're from like 23,000 BC. They talk about the earlier cataclysms and destructions and the ongoing cataclysms and destructions that the people of Whaga or Atlantis had experienced in the cataclysm of their trepid years. We're talking 50,000 to what is 13,000 BC, which was the final destruction. And I've covered all of those from the Colburn text, from many different texts. I've covered all those. So let's continue. And hither shall thy host receive them and provide them with food and clothes after the manner of the Essene. But it shall come to pass that many mothers shall perish in the waters with children in the womb. This is an interesting story too. Which live by fetal, as is proper in my sight, for so I created them. Therefore, to all such fetals give special care, for they are without sin. And when the mother is dead corporally, and the fetal also, bring hence their spirits, but together, and provide a volunteer, angel of fetal power, and deliver the infant spirit, to her to be nurtured until the proper time of weaning, and provide in the same place a home for the mother of the child, that she may inherit its loved one and myrrh. For those that did not catch what is being told in that story, basically it's saying that when the unborn children of the mothers die in the womb because they are sinless, bring them back to their mothers in heaven for nurturance and so that they could be together. Isn't that reassuring for a lot of you mothers? How beautiful is that? Jehovah said, now will I bewail thee, O earth. The glories of thy heavens that are past and gone shall be a lesson to the gods. Thy place of Horeb, once the place of wisdom of my son Atlantis, upraised, behold, it's measured and gone down. And Moab, is no more. Yeshua is fallen. Where floated the plateau of many resurrections are now miring vampires, and millions of souls that hear not and see not, but are forever burrowing deep in everlasting darkness. The plateaus are broken up, the substance scattered and unorganized, nor is there a vestige left to show the glorious work of the gods of the earth's past day. Hear me, O ye gods and goddesses, for in beholding these deep miseries, the soul is quickened to regain great wisdom. Thus created I man, out of darkness created I him, and my holy angels taught him to walk upright and gave him my commandments that he might advance to eternal light. But because man obeyed not the commandments of my God and Lord, he fell. Nevertheless, a few obeyed the commandments and fell not, raising up heirs for the glory of my heavens above. And since many angels assumed they were the all-highest, they put aside the commandments, one of which was to suffer not the spirits of the newly dead to return and dwell with their mortal kindred. For they, not knowing of the higher heavens, will teach falsely of Jehovah and his everlasting kingdoms. And it came to pass that when one commandment was set aside, the others were also. And it followed that the spirits of the newly dead who were without knowledge of heaven led mortals in their own way. For they dwelt together and slept together, and in dreams and visions mortal judged themselves to be wise, and not knowing they were obsessed in sleep, and for the desires of the flesh they found acquiescence in spirit, having no higher God or Lord. And as one spirit returned and fastened itself on a mortal, so did another and another, till hundreds and thousands of spirits dwelt in one corporeal body, oft driving hence the natural spirit I gave in the time of conception. And these mortals knew it not, and they became void of direct purpose, because the confusion of soul, and they were worthless on the earth. That right there, it gives you confirmation of the ability of these legions to possess mortal bodies and to drive out even those bodies, the spirits of those bodies that were originally conceived within them. Profound, huh? And now Af, son of Jehovah, said, when the Ethereans' hosts were arranged in due order, I called out to thee, O Jehovah, saying, in thy strength and wisdom, O Father, join thou the heavens above and the earth below. And the end of the Etherean column that extended to Shinvat on the border of the vortex of the earth was made fast by the pressure of the wide heavens. Again I said, in thy strength and wisdom, O Jehovah, join thou the heavens above with the earth below. And the end of the Etherean column that extended down to the earth was made fast around the borders of the Whaga, by the sea and the high mountains of the north. Again I said, O Jehovah, deliver thou the earth from evil, for thy glory forever. And the vortex of the earth closed in from the extreme, and lo, the earth was broken. A mighty continent was cut loose from its fastenings, and the fires of the earth came forth in flames and clouds with loud roaring, and the land rocked to and fro like a ship at sea. I got to make a comment here. In the next text that I'm going to be going into from these ancient Mayan texts that talk about this clan as being part of this priesthood during the time of Atlantis or Muror. When I go into these texts, it will also give confirmation as to the destruction being over I believe it was a 4-day period, a 4 to a 6-day period. And that initially it was earthquakes and volcanoes and hellfire and brimstone and destruction. And then it was the flood of the waters, tsunamis that came and covered the whole land and washed and swept all away. So I departed as soon as possible, taking leave of Fiatzi, thanking her for her senses and his great deliverance. And I took with me Neph, son of Jehovah, and other 30,000 gods and goddesses, besides 10 million Ethereans who had thousands of years' experience in heaven and on corporeal worlds. And we came back to the earth, even to the ocean where the land had gone down. And when I came to the ships in which the Ihans were escaped, finding the gods who had them in charge, even as I had previously commanded, thy voice, O Jehovah, came to me, saying, Bend thou the currents of the winds of heaven, O my son, and shape the ships that they shall fall into groups, and the winds of the heaven, and bring them into the 4 different lands of the earth, according to its previous history and adaptation. All right, this is what I was talking about as far as confirmation for James Churchward's work, and I didn't get to make this point. This book confirms that after the destruction of Atlantis, they were sent into 4 different regions of the earth, and that those 4 regions then became the first cities and empires established after the destruction of Atlantis. Which is why I know that this story is about Atlantis. Even though it never says it. It says Whaga. But for those, again, that have the eyes to see, the truth underlies all things. All right, continuing, because we're going to run out of time. For in all countries shall my chosen begin the laying down of the foundation of my everlasting kingdom, and they shall never more be destroyed by the people of darkness, neither of heaven or earth. And so I divided my host according to the labor thy commandments put upon me, making 4 divisions of them. And I said unto Neph, direct them, O God, to such countries as Jehovah hath shown thee. For thou knowest all the earth, for remember, thou art still God of the earth. I said, by thy light, Jehovah, I desire 2 ships to go to the north land, which was not sunken. For they shall be a testimony in time to come. Let thy gods therefore shift the winds and drive 2 ships aside from the rest, and in that same time my messengers will go and lead the way to the north land, whither thy gods shall shape the winds of heaven. Now those in charge of the wind currents divided the ships and drove them, 2 of them off to the north land, and the gods and angels turned the currents about and drove the 4 groups of ships in 4 different ways according to the directions of God and the Son of Jehovah. And the messengers of God led the way, showing the gods and angels of the wind the countries designated by Jehovah. And so it came to pass that in 150 days' time all the ships of the faithless were in the ports, and the people went ashore in the different countries whither they had been taken. Again thy voice, O Jehovah, came to me, saying, Behold, my people are few in the world, and lest they take the ships and sail about, and get divided and lost, thou shalt send thy host down to the sea at night to sink the ships. And when I told God that thou hast said, God said unto me, My angels shall inspire the Ihans to take all things out of the ships, and this night shall thy host fulfill the commandment of Jehovah. And so it came to pass, the Ihans took all their goods out of the ship, not knowing they were inspired, and in the night I sent angels down, and they sank those ships. And in the morning the Ihans beheld their ships had disappeared, and they said with one voice, Of a truth I know I was inspired, for I would not rest till all the goods were taken out of the ships. Let us therefore build an altar unto the Lord, and sing and dance, because he is with us. And when God saw that their souls were propitious for good works and miracles, he stationed his Ashars around about the altars, and sent other Ashars into the country. And they gathered fruit which was growing wild, and brought it to the Ihans, casting it on the altars of the Lord, even while the people danced. And thus did I fulfill the work thou commandest of me, O Jehovah, whereupon I surrendered my commission to thy son Neph, God of heaven and earth. Chapter 8. Now, I want you to know something also. I have to talk about this in this particular book. This book, Oahspe, that I'm reading from, Oahspe, is almost 900 pages long. And in this text, it covers one cycle of the precession of the houses of the zodiac, or a 26,000-year period. And that during each one of the houses of the zodiac, the Lord appoints what is in the text referenced as a new God or a new Lord. Those gods and lords are those individuals that are given authority of that particular place, time, and space while it is under that astrological sign. And so you'll see many divisions and also many different authorities and people coming to authority and working for and under the Morning Star administration. And Neph, the guy that I'm reading about now, Neph just happens to be God of the earth appointed by Jehovah for this time period. Neph, God of earth, said, Behold, O Aph, son of Jehovah, by the power and magnificence of thy work, am I bewildered in thy presence? Who can come so near the Almighty? Who but Jehovah hath attained beyond the power of thy soul? Who hath wisdom like unto thee, save the great Creator? Thou hast stretched a line beyond the moon, and by thy spoken word crushed in the side of the great earth as it were nothing. Thou hast said, Arise, and the world moved all thy command. Yea, thou hast love and esteem of millions of gods and goddesses. From the Lord's first book, different chapter. Let me go to the chat room to check. And then we're going to get into something else. I won't be able to cover much of it, but it'll give you insight into what I'm going into. We've got somebody in there criticizing me. I just ignore them, people, because these individuals, they can criticize me left and right, judge me for however they want, but basically all I'm doing is reading you the text and allowing you to hear and judge for yourself what they say, what they mean. So all of those others that, that feel like they are empowered to judge everybody else, and that, because for whatever reason they think they're worthy to judge, just let them do so. Fishbone, you're welcome to say anything you want in the chat room as long as you are respectful and as long as you don't cuss or curse anybody in any inappropriate way. You're welcome to say whatever you like of me. Whatever. All right, continuing on. All right, this is from the Lord's first book. Behold, I am not for one man only, nor for one woman, nor for one book. Now, this is interesting, especially since we just went to where we went to. Let's listen to this again. Behold, I am not for one man only, nor for one woman only, nor for one book, but wherever the light of wisdom and the desire for virtue and holy deeds shine, there will my speech manifest, Is not Jehovah wide as the universe and immutable? And to be in harmony with him is not the sum of all wisdom? Therefore, if thy Lord or thy God hath attained to be one with the Father, and he come in dominion on the earth with his millions of angels who also know the higher light, and ye are inspired by them to Jehovah's will, what discussion shall man have against heaven or its representatives? Now, let me check this one more time because I know we're going to run out of time. Okay, I'm going to make one final comment. Yeah, Fishbone, just so you know, it's from a book that another guy wrote. It's Oahspe. You're welcome. Look it up yourself. Read it for yourself if interested. And if not, don't criticize others for reading it. I would fully agree with you. He says that New Age religion is closely related to demonic teachings. And as I said on John's show earlier, I measure all wisdom, all knowledge from the context of the book of John, which says that anything that denies Yahushua as the Son of God, as being the holder of everlasting life and the keys to the kingdom, that is Antichrist, Antichrist establishment, and Antichrist religion. And even though it may be 99% truth, that 1% could cause you to lose your soul, to lose your salvation. So be weary of all things. I challenge you all also to doubt everything that I bring forth. And I say this in all of the introductions of all of my books, to not believe anything that I say, but to do your own homework. This that I'm reading from, this has become my truth as gleaned from my own experience, as my own walk with the Father and Son. This is what I've come to know. I don't hold this as truth for all of you out there. And in fact, truth is going to be an individual walk. And you should let no man or no book, no religion, or nobody that's judging you or casting stones or anything else to sway you one way or another in your personal walk with the Father and with truth. Believe nobody. Believe nothing. Test it all. Discern. Take it before the Lord and ask Him. Ask Him for His authority in your life. Because really, everything that we're doing in the flesh right now and in the body is to learn to make our will reflect the will of the creators for our lives. And if you can do that, you're in a good space. And I just hope and pray that all of you out there, all of you individuals, including you, Fishbone, I hope that you can walk closer in relationship with the Lord, and that the Father and the Son lead each of you in truth and discernment, so that you come to know what is reality. Because the truth is reality is stranger than fiction, and it's far from what people consider to be the real world. The real world that most of us are living in and living for, that's just an illusion. All that is just an illusion. I want to thank you, Marilyn and Mustang Sally and Michael and Marilyn and everybody that came to the show, that have supported our work, that have asked incredible questions, that share your insight and your knowledge with us. I'm going to just ask that the Lord continue to bless us. And as I said, don't worry about all the judges, all the haters. Allow them to do as they wish. Every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess. And in that day, we will all be brought before the Lord. And in that day, I can only pray that all of us can be worthy to be counted among the most elect, and that we can take part in the everlasting life and the salvation that the Lord has so carefully prepared and planned for us over these so many thousands of millions of years. Thank you, everybody. God bless you. I appreciate each and every one of you. I'll tell you what. We'll end with a very mellow song. The seeker of lost paradise may seem a fool to one who has never sought the other worlds. Welcome, readers, listeners, and viewers from across America and around the world. I'm your host, Zen Garcia. This is FallenAngels.tv, and I'm excited to be broadcasting tonight. I was not able to come on this past Saturday. Blog Talk, the whole site was down for the duration of the day, so I wasn't able to get on, but I wanted to present this information to you for quite a long time, and I appreciate everybody joining me, and thanks for coming to the show and for supporting our work. We've got a lot of new listeners and a lot of individuals that are not used to the show's format, and I do appreciate the fellowship and the interest, and for being willing to open yourselves up to the interesting perspectives that we bring forward on this show. And the
us now and through evolution, convincing the crowd that aliens somehow are out there and bound to have all of the answers and power to know the solution, like indigo children, smarter than humans, more intuition, much more evolved. They're sending a vision, prepare the whole world with a false explanation. If we're to evolve, we must remove Christians. They call it the cleansing, and this is their mission.
Evolve or die refers to whether humanity survives as a species. There is an enormous awakening happening on the planet.
The age of Aquarius, ending duality, Oprah the secret, and Eckhart Tolle preach what will bring in a new age reality, based in traditions of pagan theosophy, bound to be thousands of offshoots of Crowley, students of Alistair Bailey who follow the lies of Helena Blavatsky, radically altering, changing the pages of history, laying the groundwork forged by the tools of Lucifer, paving the way for the United Nations, a slow preparation, patiently waiting since the creation. The Garden of Eden, a planet whose placement in time is persuaded by aliens, outside invasions, abductions, and cow mutilations, creating an
interesting books that we read from. I'm going to be following up on an ongoing series from a book that I've recently been reading and discovering. I'm some 400 pages into it now, and it's mind-blowing, the particular text that I've been reading. And what I'm going to be covering today talks about the destruction of Atlantis. And this is going to give you incredible insight, more insight than anywhere else that I've found other than the Emerald Tablets of Thoth or Hermes, which for many individuals, they're just one's from Greek, the other's from Egypt. Same individuals, same text. So, also wanted to tell everybody that I was just on John the Baptist show at tribulation-now.org, and he's still going for another 30 minutes. But our brother John has had us on for the past few nights talking about the imminent dangers of not only the alien invasion, but the return of the
Blog Talk Radio.
Eckhart, you talk about in an ever-changing world, a species needs to either adapt or they will die out. And then you go on to say, and I quote, that humanity is now faced with a stark choice: evolve or die.
There's so much to say in so little time. This is a song for those left behind, an insider's view to what's going on. If Christians are raptured away and are gone, in case of emergency, take this CD and make many copies to give away free. But first get a Bible and start reading now. The moment will come when they will not allow distribution, possession of anything Christian. You'll go underground, a secret resistance, and face persecution, imprisoned and beaten. Now is the time to make your decision, to battle his minions left on this earth, or fall for a false explanation. Prefer to be herded like sheep. The ancient delusion, the oldest of schemes, has come to conclusion. The mark of the beast from the father of lies, the angel of light, master of disguise. rise, he's devising a plan, preparing for right for the picking with movies and Hollywood implanting trickery, mastery over the masses. The whole world collapses in panic, all desperate for someone to save them. Obey anyone that will answer their questions. The savior of sorts, a new age messiah. The wolf in sheep's clothing is what will transpire. The mayhem is out of control at this moment. A world full of chaos, confusion, and torment. I'm telling you, don't stop at anything. You can't afford to face life without Christ as your king. The moment might come when the storms are reality, trapped in a world where it's actually happening.
That's one of my favorite quotes that a significant portion of the Earth's population will soon recognize, if they haven't already done so, that humanity is now faced with a stark choice: evolve or die.
Reaching your head with the cold and sudden fury of a divine messenger. Let me tell you about heartache and the loss of God, wandering in hopeless night.